Hello Year 7. Today we are doing an introduction to fractions, and the question is, what are fractions? Fractions allow us to divide a whole into separate parts, and the denominator, that's a fancy word, but the denominator tells you how many parts the whole has been divided into, and the numerator tells you how many of the divided parts that you have. So for example, if I was to have this circle and I was to cut it up into 4 pieces, okay, the denominator is the number on the bottom. It tells me that I have 4 pieces. Okay, now if I choose to select a certain number of pieces, I might take this piece, and this piece. So I have chosen 3 pieces. That is what goes on the numerator, which is on the top of the fraction. Okay, so let's keep looking at the dot points down below here. The horizontal line that separates the numerator and the denominator is called the vinculum, and it has the exact same effect as if you used a divide sign. So, for example, if I had the fraction 12 over 3, that line, which we call the vinculum, actually means the same as divide. So this is also could be said as being 12 divided by 3, which would be equal to 4. Okay, now there's different types of fractions. We have what's called a proper fraction, which is a proper fraction is less than a whole, and therefore the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So for example, we have this proper fraction here, 4 over 7, because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Okay, then the next type of fraction we're going to talk about is an improper fraction. An improper fraction is greater than 1 whole, and therefore the numerator must be larger than the denominator. So for example, 10 over 7 is an improper fraction, and it is actually equal to 1 whole and 3 parts out of 7, and we call that a mixed numeral. We'll be learning how to convert those in a later lesson. Whole numbers can be expressed as fractions. So for example, 4 over 4 is equal to 1, because remember it means divide. 4 divided by 4 goes once, and 8 divided by 4 goes twice. Any fraction with a denominator of 1 is equal to whatever the value of the numerator is. So 6 over 1 is just 6, because 6 divided by 1 is 6. Okay, so here's a question for you. We have a circle and we have some shaded in parts. So first of all, we're asked how many pieces has the whole pizza been divided into, so we can count them up. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of pizza there. 8. How many pieces have been shaded? Well, that's the 1, 2, 3 of them that have been shaded. Another way of saying that is part C here, in simplest form, what must the denominator equal? Now remember, the denominator is how many parts that it's been divided into. That is the 8. Part 2, what must the numerator equal? That's how many that have been coloured in. That is the 3. So if I want to write the shaded amount of pizza as a fraction, we would put the 3 on the top over the total parts, which is 8 on the bottom. And that's it. Question 2. Represent 3/5 and 9/5 on a number line. So what I'm going to do, because these are fractions that I'm trying to write on a number line, I'm going to divide my number line into fractional parts. Now my denominator is fifths. So if I start at 0, I could take 5 sections before I get to number 1. I would have 1/5 there, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and the next one would be 5/5, but a better way to write 5/5 would be to write 1. Now when you write this in your notes, can you please make sure that you use a ruler to measure these spaces? So they need to be nice and even. A centimeter between each of those lines would be good. Okay, I need to keep going though because I have to get up to 9/5. So remember 1 was 5/5. The next one would be 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5, and then 10/5, which would be the whole number 2. Okay, so once you have made your number line and labeled it, going up in nice even amounts of 1/5 each time, we want to draw a dot on there to represent each of these numbers that we've been given. So 3/5 is right here, so I'm going to put a dot right on that number line right there. And the second one I wanted was at 9/5, right up this other end here. So 9/5, put a dot right there. And that's it.